Hey guys, welcome to another part. This one's going to be a little short one because I'll be talking about blueprints, and I'll just explain just a brief explanation about blueprints because for this particular purpose where we're creating a cinematic environment, we just need to know a little bit about them, and we'll also turn the static mesh that we created in the previous parts, which is the abandoned church. We'll turn all those static mesh combined into a blueprint, because right now everything is on its own. We can still move them around, but when we turn it into a blueprint, it'll be easier for us to move around and easier to manage. So I'll be showing you just that. So let's go into Unreal Engine. This is what we have made in the last two parts. Right now, before we do anything about blueprints, we're gonna have to group all these static mesh together in one group so that it's easier for us to select. So just drag and drop it into the church group over there. So now, what is a blueprint? Well, blueprint is basically like a scripted addition to your game, because Unreal Engine is a game engine. So it can either be a event, function, or variables, or in our case it will be our object construction. So we'll group everything together like a pre-built house that we can just drag and drop into. So all of these static mesh will be combined into one blueprint. But before we do that, I just noticed that this transition right here doesn't work well. So let's go back into Mesh Paint and let's... Oh, this is because of the LOD that we have talked about before. So let's do this and then let's save. Now it should be fine. Sorry about the delay. So let's turn this into a blueprint. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all the static mesh within the church. And if you want to make sure that you have selected everything, try moving it and see if it's going with your cursor. If something is not being selected, you have to select it first. So once you've selected everything, you go onto the top toolbar and click on this little icon which looks like a graph. Click on this and let's convert selection to blueprint class. And now here we have different creation methods, but I'm not gonna get into too in depth of everything right here. You can read it here if you want to learn a little bit more about it. But what we're gonna use is a harvest component mode. And right here, the blueprint name, we're gonna call it BP Church. BP stands for blueprint, of course. And as for path, we're gonna choose a path to abandoned village. Just click on this, maybe in meshes, and then let's click on OK. And then let's select. Now you'll get a new window. This is a blueprint. So basically what a blueprint does is that now you can see this has been located already. So once you put this down, you'll see everything is grouped together and you can mess around with it without losing any of the changes that you made in the modeling phase. So that's why blueprints are very useful. Sometimes you would go into new projects with different models that you modeled, and then if you want to paste it down in another level that you want to do, what you can do is just make them blueprints and drop it down into the main level that you're doing. But right now, as you can see, the pivot point is right in the center of all these mesh. So we're gonna have to change that. We want to make it centered, but also at the bottom of the mesh. So to do that, double click on the blueprint that you've made. You'll see on the left, everything, all of the mesh is here. So we're gonna select everything over here, and then let's actually make this window a little bit smaller, and let's see how it looks. So let's move this up right now. So as soon as you move up, you can see this pivot is being changed. So let's place it around there so it's at the bottom of the church while maintaining the center of the entire thing. So I think that looks all right. And after that, one thing you have to make sure that you do is before you click out of the selection, you have to change everything to static over on the right side on the details panel. If you don't see the details panel, you can go into Windows and click on details, and you'll see this window over here. Change into static mesh, because or else when you render things, when you render out the full cinematic later on, the static mesh will move. And this was one of the problems that I have faced earlier in my Unreal Engine days, and I spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out what was causing it, and this was the issue. So since you have selected everything and click on static, everything should be static. Once that's done, please click on compile, because it won't be saved until you click compile. And let's save it as well. So right now we have our blueprint ready to be plopped down anywhere we want. So let's test it out. Let's bring in our blueprint again. And now it is nicely placed. I know it's a little bit more upwards than the pivot point, but that is not a big deal, because we'll still be able to control everything quite nicely. So that's it for this part. I'll see you in the next one.